Lima, Peru is one of those major cities that doesn't get talked about too much when you compare it to other countries and other cities in Latin America, such as places in Colombia or even Paraguay or Brazil. And that honestly surprises me because I spent a few months in Lima, Peru, and honestly, it might be the best value city that I've come across all over Latin America. But at the same time, it's definitely not perfect, right? There's a reason why I am not there right now. So in this video, I'm gonna give you the real pros and cons of living in Lima, Peru, so that you can decide whether or not living or even just visiting is the right move for you. By the way, if you're new here, my name's Alex. I left the US in 2022 through building location independent income, and I created an international life setup here in South America. Now I help other men do the same. So let's dive in. All right, so pro number one is the purchasing power that's available to you in Lima, Peru. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, Lima, Peru is potentially the best value city that I came across and all over South America. And definitely, South America gets way better value than Mexico or Central America, right? Mexico is probably more expensive than Central America. And then South America is more affordable than Central. So Lima I put up there with what you can get for what you spend. It's probably number one. It felt like a first class city for second to third world prices, depending on how you live. Now, how I lived, I spent about $2,000 to $2,500 a month living in Lima, Peru, living a really good life. I had lived in two different apartments in the best part of the entire city, Miraflores both times, walkable to everything, all the restaurants, all the bars, all the club, everything, right? And in a nice high rise with gym, pool, balcony view, near the ocean, like everything that you can ask for. The apartments were about $1,000 or less than $1,000 on Airbnb, so I can definitely get these off market for a lot more affordable. So rent's going to be your highest cost. Food is the next one. Food, man, I ate like a king here for pretty affordable prices too. The cool thing is I can get lunches for $3 to $5 in some places that are really, really delicious. Or I can also splurge too. I can go to a very nice restaurant with myself or a date and spend good money that. But the quality is going to be worth it. So I think my dollar went about 2.5 to 3 times further for the way that I spent my money. But if you live outside of the best areas, if you live outside of Miraflores, Barranco, San Isidro, like you go to maybe San Miguel or you go to Suquillo or places outside of the city, you can get way more bang for your buck as well. Maybe it'll go 4 or 5 times more for you. So I put here, live the good life, 2K, live the very good life, 3K, you're balling out more than a king, you're probably 5K. But I think, one of the biggest perks here, one of the biggest pros is definitely the purchasing power that you get in Lima, Peru. Pro number two, which I was alluding to earlier, is the food scene here is elite, guys. This is probably the best cuisine that I've come across all over South America, all over Latin America. I like Mexican food. I love Puerto Rican food. I grew up Puerto Rican. My mom would cook Puerto Rican. I like Dominican food. They're very similar, like the Caribbean style. They put a lot of flavor, right? Arroz y habichuela. I love Hispanic food, but Lima, Peru is in a league of its own. Okay, I could eat a lomo soltado every single day and be happy. I'll switch it up with maybe a ceviche. I'll switch it up with pulpo. I'll switch it up with some type of seafood, right? Comida del mar. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, so we have a pretty good seafood scene there, right? We have known for our lobster, our clam chowder. But Lima, Peru, again, it's the best that I've come across. So for me personally, I was eating out every day here. There was a couple spots that I love to frequent where lunches would go for about $3 to $5. They were really quick to make too. That's another great thing. A lot of countries that I go to, they take forever to make your food. I'm in Paraguay right now. If I were to go to a restaurant down the street, or I live, I live close to everything here too in Paraguay, but it tends to take a while. So I tend to order food in. But here in Lima, for some reason, like I would get my meals prepared quickly, and they were really good. That was definitely a huge pro here. One of the reasons why I want to visit a lot is to go back and try and go to some of the restaurants that I went to. The cool thing is you get all types of optionality here. You get everything, right? You get all types of different international cuisines because it's a major city. We're over like 12 million. I think over 15 million people in Lima, Peru. But if you just stick to the Peruvian food, you just stick to the Japanese food that's available to here. And also there's a mix, right? There's a fusion between Japanese and Peruvian. So you go to restaurants like that, you get all types of different variety that you need. You'll never get bored here with the food scene. That's one of the major perks here of being in Lima, Peru. And I should add, you also have some of the best world-class restaurants. You have some of the world-class chefs in this city specifically. So this is a place where people come from all over the world just to try their food. Pro number three is the nightlife and the dating scene that you can get here. All right. So I was pretty fortunate. I mean, I dated a Cuban girl who had literally had access to pretty much all the known bars here, all the known clubs, the comedy shows, right? So a lot of high-end whiskey bars or cocktail lounges, right? You get a lot of variety with that. Lima has a really good social scene too. There's always events going on every single night of the week. If you want to do something, there is going to be something happening in Lima, Peru. You get a lot of different expat events too, different language exchanges, right? Gringo events. So definitely a great place for nightlife and for things to do at night, any day of the week. As far as dating goes, dating is also very good here. Okay, there's abundance of women. I mean, we're in a city of over, again, 15 million people, I believe. So you'll get a lot of different Peruvian women. You get a lot of different women from other countries as well, such as Colombia, Mexico, a lot of Venezuelan, women from South America, women from Europe even, women from Cuba as well. I met a Cuban girl here. I think I mentioned that. And the reason they're there is because it offers a lot more opportunity, right? The Cuban woman that I was seeing there grew up in Cuba. Obviously, there's not much, there's not many opportunities that she has in Cuba, unfortunately. So she came to Lima, Peru, and really changed her life. She's doing very well. She's entrepreneurial. She has access to she has a lot of connections here. So great place to build a brand new life, for a lot of people from other countries in South America. So my point is, you'll get a lot of variety here when it comes to women, for whatever reason, if you don't like, Peruvian. But Peruvian women are also, my opinion, probably some of the most evolved women that I've come across in all over Latin America, right? Very intelligent, a lot of them very spiritual, not religious so much, but it's more spiritual, and speak pretty good English too. Like they understand the language, they speak the language. So again, some of the more evolved women I've met are Peruvian. So again, if you're looking for a place to have an amazing social life, dating life, Lima, Peru is a great place to come to for that. Pro number four is something that I didn't expect too much of, right? I was a little surprised when it came to the infrastructure and the walkability here in Lima. There's a lot of different places too. It's not just Miraflores. You can go to San Isidro, you go to Barranco, you go to other places too, where the walkability, the streets are super clean. The parks, a lot of nice parks here. The only other places where I found parks on par or even nicer, Mexico City has amazing parks. Buenos Aires has amazing parks, and here too has amazing parks. And it's very flat here. Okay, so it's not like Medellin where you got a lot of hills. It's not as walkable. Here, it's very flat. The sidewalks are very wide. It's very safe too, traffic wise. They have bike lanes, they have run lanes where people respect that. It felt very organized. It felt very clean. It felt very developed actually as well. You see a lot of families with their kids out and about, so it felt very safe to raise a family here, have kids here. And they also do ciclovia on Sundays, so it felt like a very health conscious city. It kind of felt like Miami a little bit when I'm running along the coast, when I'm running along the ocean. I go to Miami occasionally to visit, some friends. Sometimes I'll run the 5K, I'll run the half marathon in Miami. And, when you're running along the ocean, you have the high rise buildings, you have the great weather, you have the sun, you have everybody else out. It felt like that type of vibe in Miraflores specifically when you're running on a Sunday morning in Lima. So for me, this was a huge pro. It's really nice to get outside your apartment and just go for a nice walk or just have beautiful scenery and have everything be organized and clean and, right near the ocean. I can't say enough good things about the infrastructure and walkability or bikeability or runnability here in Lima, Peru. Now let's talk some cons. So con number one is the weather problem. Now, I'm someone who values having good weather. For me to be long-term happy, I need to be in good weather. Okay, I'm from Boston. Boston, we probably got about 3 months out of the year, sunny, nice weather. Here in Lima, Peru, between December and April is fantastic. Okay, it's warm, it's sunny. You can wear short sleeves, long sleeves, whatever you want. It's really nice here in Lima, Peru, weather-wise. After that, though, once it hit around May or even June, it starts to get different, right? It gets darker earlier, it gets gloomy, it gets rainy, it gets colder. It felt like, if you guys are familiar with the States, if you're familiar with like a Seattle, Washington type weather, or Bogota, Colombia, where it's like 50 degrees, it's gloomy, it gets dark early, again, it rains more. That's what it felt like in around May here in Lima for me. So me personally, I don't like gray, or overcast type weather. I prefer warm and sunny as long as I can get it, for as long as possible. And Lima, Peru doesn't give me that consistency of good weather that I look for if I'm going to live long-term in a city. So for that reason, the weather is a con, knowing that I only get about 4, maybe 5 months out of the year with solid, warm, sunny weather, and the rest of the year is not going to be that. it's not really ideal for me when it comes to the weather. So this is a con. The next con is the size of the city. Again, Lima, Peru is a massive city of over about 15 million people. I know it says 10, but it's more like 12 or 15, which is great for like, social life, nightlife, energy, dating, optionality. But it does lead to more of a touristy vibe, especially in the popular areas. Expats that you might meet will probably cycle through, right? So it makes it a little bit harder to build deeper, long-term friendships or relationships. I also don't like feeling like a smaller fish in a bigger pond, so to speak. I prefer being a bigger fish in a medium to smaller size pond. So I like living in mid-sized cities versus major cities like Lima. For me, they're great to visit. They're great to escape maybe a more, call it boring, call it more stable mid-sized city lifestyle. And then I like to visit the major cities for weeks or maybe even 2-3 months at a time. So if we're talking long-term livability, this is a con. But again, if you're someone who likes big city energy, this might be a pro. But in my opinion, it's great for a month or two. It's less ideal for a permanent base. Traffic could also be a big pain here, guys. Like if you want to go from Miraflores to San Isidro during peak hours, good luck. It's going to take you a while. You're going to be stuck in major traffic, which I don't like in major cities. So there are a lot of cons to living in a big city. For me, I'd rather not. For me, I'd rather live in a mid-sized cities of between 2 to 5 million, and then visit a place like Lima, Peru, for maybe weeks or maybe a couple months, at a time. So this is a con from the touristy vibe. For it's more difficult to build deeper, long-term friendships. The traffic can be a headache, and feeling like a smaller fish in a bigger pond, I don't like. I'd rather feel like a bigger fish in a medium to smaller size pond. Everyone's a little different. For me, living in a big city like Lima, Peru is a con. Con number 3 has to do more with long-term livability, right? We're talking visa, residencies, and taxes. So what I always look for when I'm looking to live or base in a place for more than 6 months out of the year is how easy is it to get residency, okay? I look for more residency. Residency gives me more stability, less subject to change. Visas can always change at any time. I'm losing my voice a little bit, so I'll try to make it through this. But yeah, so look, if you're just looking to visit here, I mean, this says 83 days. It's actually 183 days visa free, no problem. So for about 6 months, just from your tourist visa, you can stay here, right, without that. But the problem comes in when you're looking to live here for more than 6 months out of the year, maybe build a family here, that sort of thing, right? So again, I look for residencies. Residency here and most other places in South America, you tend to need at least like 6 figures. You need at least $100,000 to invest to get something like a residency, compared to like a place in Paraguay, right? Paraguay, I have my residency, I have my cedula here, I have bank accounts here, and I paid less than $2,000, right, to get my residency, my cedula, to get bank account set up. And I've now worked with a residency specialist who starts at $1,450, right, compared to over $100,000 when it comes to residency. So there's places that are much easier to get residencies in. Again, I'm not a big fan of visas. I mean, people that do live here, they tend to get the rentista visa, which requires proof of, I believe it's at least 100. I'm sorry, which requires proof of about $1,000 income. Again, speak to a professional, a visa, a residency professional in Lima. I don't know all the answers to that, but I have done a lot of research, and I do know that rules can change without warning. Also, currencies can fluctuate. So all reasons why I prefer residencies over visas. And you just get, more other countries are just more, other countries just offer residencies easier than a place like Peru. Taxes as well. You have to consider taxes if you're living here for more than 6 months out of the year. Now, a lot of people don't follow the rules for whatever reason. So a lot of people stay in a country for more than 6 months and still don't pay taxes. I'm not going to go into that. I recommend that if you're going to live in a place long term, that you respect the laws, right? Especially you don't want the government coming after you. And Peru is not a territorial tax country, right? So meaning any income you earn outside the country, if you're living here for more than 6 months, can be subject to taxes. And for me personally, someone who is looking to grow their income, who wants to keep as much of it, who wants to invest as much of it, who wants to save as much of it, I like doing what I like to do with my money. So for me, if I'm going to live in a place, being a territorial tax country, it has a huge weight on whether I live there or not. Okay, in places like Paraguay, Panama, Guatemala, these are examples of territorial tax countries in Latin America where you can save a lot of money just with taxes, depending on your situation, of course. But again, if you're someone who's looking to build your income, or you're already earning, a solid six-figure income, this comes into play. You have to consider the tax situation in your country. So for these reasons, the residency, well, I should say the lack of visa residency and the lack of being a territorial tax country is a major con for Peru if I'm going to live there long term. And here's a full picture at a glance. So cost of living or purchasing power, we can call it. You can see I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. The food scene, excellent. Nightlife is very, very good. Dating life, excellent. Walkability, very, very solid. Safety is also very good. If you're staying in the major places or the popular places, San Isidro, Miraflores, Suquillo, Barranco, Magdalena del Mar, parts of San Miguel. These are all going to be safe places for the most part. Once you get outside of that, it does get a little more unsafe. But overall, I give Lima a very good safe score. Weather, again, it's about average, probably more below average because I only get 4 months to maybe 4.5 months out of the year where it's solid weather. The rest of the year is not as ideal. Visa residency's taxes is below average, and long-term livability, I'll probably give it a 5 out of 6, right? So again, this comes down to what you value most. If you value social life, if you value dating life, if you value cuisine, what you're eating every day, Lima might be a great fit for you. If weather falls lower on the list, if visa residencies fall lower on the list, if long-term community building and deeper relationships fall low on the list because it's a bigger city, you just have to make that decision for yourself. But this is the full picture at a glance from my perspective. And my final take when it comes to Lima, Peru, look, great place to visit, just not to base, okay? I prefer to base in a city that's about 2 to 5 million, where I'm more of a bigger fish in a medium pond, where it's easier to get residency, where the weather is more my style for, year round. And then Lima is an excellent place for me to visit. Living in Asunción, Paraguay specifically, where it's more boring, where it's more stable. I like going to a place like Lima for maybe a few weeks to a couple months out of the year for their cuisine, to be near the ocean, to maybe do a little surfing, to get out and, hit some nightlife, to hit some of the best restaurants, things like that, where it's stuff I can't get in the city that I base in. I want to get in a city like Lima, Peru. Everyone's a little different. Hopefully this video gave you a little bit of perspective of whether or not it might make sense for you long-term or short-term or not at all. If you like this type of content, guys, I created a Latin guide where I go over the different country profiles in not only South America, but also the Caribbean, Mexico, Central America, my overall take on things. So if you like this type of content, you'll love that guide. Links in the description. Or if you just want to watch similar videos to this one, then click on this one that I did here about Lima, Peru, and I'll see you in the next one.